So I am here at the next mission in the series. I have gone into it once before, and it was even harder than the last mission. I tried the same fitting, and although the tactic worked of just staying out of range and removing my tank was fine, I still was not dealing enough damage, so I have gone and upgraded my ballistic control systems to two named ones that are better, although they were different ones. I couldn't afford the nicer one that I purchased twice. I have also switched to faction ammo, Caldari Navy Nova heavy missiles. Nova do explosive damage, which this specific NPC seems to be weakest to. He also has defender missiles. Defender missiles can shoot down, and for some reason, every time I try to warp to this encounter, it takes me to this guy first, even though he's not really a gate. But anyways, um, defender missiles shoot down regular missiles. So while I'm having trouble generating enough DPS to break his tank, he makes it even worse by knocking my missiles right out of the sky. You'll see my waves doing different amounts of damage because of that. I'm going to go ahead and set a orbit range that I think will take me out of his damage dealing range. Dagan is who a lot of these, oh, and I'm starting right in on top of him. That's not fun. Um, this is the whole climax of the entire series of missions. I did read some people saying cycle the amount of damage that you're doing when fighting him, that can make some type of difference. I'm not exactly sure what, but we'll go ahead and give it a shot. I do feel like I'm doing a bit more damage than I was before. Um, as far as what I'm seeing happening to his shield, the combination of faction ammo and ballistic control system upgrades might have netted me as much as, 10, 15, even 20 DPS. I don't want to burn out all my capacitor, but I'm not taking a lot of damage, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off my invulnerability field so I can make sure I can keep my afterburner running. I don't have a ton of ammo. I could probably cycle through the ammo that I have 3 or 4 times. I think I could refill my launcher, so I do have a decent amount, but definitely not a ton. So I'm going to go ahead and try to stick at 22,000. I'm not really taking any damage, so I'm perfectly fine staying at this range, and that means I could actually use my drone. I thought I was going to have to get too far away to be able to use my drone. So let's bring him in, because it looks like he did manage to rep all my damage. And I did have some people say that after just sitting there, pounding and pounding and pounding away, they were eventually able to get through. So I don't know if perhaps normally NPCs don't have a capacitor. I can't hope to burn down his capacitor, but maybe there is some sort of equivalent. It looks like I changed the default um, orbit range, but didn't hit to orbit again. So it didn't actually kick in. But this range right here, 24,000, seems good. I'm not taking any damage. It's in range of my drone. Although it does seem that my damage may have tapered off with the range. I'm wondering if that may be the case, if perhaps his defender missiles are more effective if they have more time to land. Oh, but it looks like with the drone, I might now be breaking his tank. Let's see if that was the difference. But I also started taking a bit of damage myself. Definitely seem to be getting through his tank finally. I've got him down to about half, yeah, 53% remaining. Faction ammo, it's possible it can be dropped. I'm actually not positive about that. If perhaps certain special NPCs might drop it, for the most part, could be purchased at least with loyalty points that I've discussed previously. Not terribly expensive for these type of missions if you're just going to use it occasionally at this size. I think enough to cycle all my weapons or fill them 4 times cost me about half a million. So if I were trying to use them for all of my mission running, I would be a lot harder to make a profit, but for a specialty thing like this, it wasn't terribly expensive to use faction ammo. And slowly but surely, I am wearing him down. Got him down to 33% there at one point, which is the best I've seen. So I am very slowly winning out with my current orbit distance and drone damage. This is reminiscent back when I lived as a pretty new character. I think I had only been playing the game maybe 2 or 3 months on my previous character, and the corp I was in moved out to 0-0. And I found ratting in an assault frigate to be a great moneymaker for me at that point. A lot of the rats in the areas we were in were 1 million to 1.4 million were not uncommon rats. And an assault frig, due to its very low signature radius, and they were Garistas rats using missiles, due to their the low sig radius of the frigate and the high resist I was able to get on it, was definitely able to tank those rats. It just took a very long time to kill them, unfortunately, and so it was very similar to this of just orbiting and orbiting and orbiting and doing damage and just eventually managing to grind through it. And he's managed to get all the way back up to about 60% there at one point. Um, So it definitely can take some patience sometimes. It's definitely not the most exciting thing. Now, I did notice when I started doing a lot of damage, I started taking a bit of damage. It's almost like he stopped using his defender and put real missiles in it or something, that something on his ship changed temporarily, that he may have put it back because I've now stopped taking damage and even repaired my shields, repaired most of the damage it took, but now he's repping all the way back up into the 60% range. And now that all my ammo's about to refill, that is not promising. Again, just out of curiosity, if more range might help as defenders. I've never really used defenders. Could be impacting my effectiveness. I'm going to move in a little closer. I don't think it's really going to hurt the damage that I'm doing. Or I'm sorry, it's not going to cause me to take much more damage, but could help. The reload time on missiles is 10 seconds, so it definitely sucks to have to stop when I've got this guy. I'm barely, beating him out to have to just stop shooting for 10 seconds on that reload. But luckily, he was not repping right then, and I've got him all the way down to 30% now. This is definitely promising. I do almost wish he was doing a bit more damage. It might make it feel a little more exciting or daring if my shield was very slowly dropping, as his was also very slowly dropping, but he is doing almost no damage. The real question would be if I might run out of ammo. Like I said, though, I did have enough to cycle several times. I still have 320 rounds left. I think each of them will hold 32. So I have enough to completely refill 2 more times, 2 full reloads. So I guess it was enough to fill my weapons 4 times, including the initial load. And I've gotten through his shield. That's the whole key right there. He is a shield tanker, not an armor tanker, so I shouldn't rip right through his armor. Of course, he might boost his shield up some. Yeah, that just went back up to 7%, so that might delay it, but his armor will not hold out for very long and will not repair at all. And structure should be even quicker still. I believe that this is either the last mission or there might be one very simple Sisters of Eve mission left after this. I did choose the Keldari path. That actually determines which version of Dagan you fight. The Keldari version is the one who has the defender missiles and requires explosive damage, and each of the different Dagans, depending on who you want your faction standing from, though, is apparently a little bit different. And really, the Keldari version is hardest for Keldari ships to destroy, of course. It was very shocking, though, and I have to say I didn't care for that so many of these missions just throughout have been so easy for me. Just absolutely no challenge to the Sisters of Eve missions until these last two, which required massive upgrades to my ship and were very challenging. And not to say that I don't like these challenging missions, but I feel like they should have built up to it a bit more. I would have liked more challenge early on, I think. And there he goes. I have successfully killed the what I believe the final um, Sisters of Eve hostile. Let's go ahead and loot this wreck, see if there's anything special in it. Well, I know he should be in it. I believe I have to turn him in. Indeed I do. Again, the reward not really much different than what I've been seeing, maybe slightly more, although I did spend some time refitting and then doing things that weren't playing Eve, so I won't get that bonus. But even if I did, it still wouldn't have been anything that much larger than the payments I had seen for the incredibly easy missions. Although I guess this one does get me the really nice faction standing boost, which I'm looking forward to. So nothing inside of the wreck, unfortunately. It's not going to be like the last one where we got the nice 3.5 million ISK weapon. Hmm. So I will go ahead and warp to the agent in space. That is a little different about this mission. That in fact, the system is a little unique in that it has 0 stations. There is not a single place to dock anywhere in this solar system. Decent amount of asteroid belts, so it would be a decent place to go. Uh, Mining a point 0.5 might have some decent asteroids and a lot of belts, but nowhere to actually dock here. But there is a agent in space, so he's the one really interactable. I don't know if that's a word, but the one spot you can go and warp to. Looks like this is going to be my final mission, is actually turning him over, which does have the nice 1 million ISK reward, which I didn't necessarily expect or know about. Let me make sure. Yeah, I guess he has to be in my inventory. It's not like they could have put him in a station inventory, so we'll go ahead and warp there. Purchasing those modules did definitely cost me a lot. Brought me down to only a few 100,000 ISK, getting the faction ammo and the new ballistic control units, which are a cross-linked bolt array and a muon coil bolt array. This one gives me a 8.4% bonus to damage and a 9% bonus to rate of fire. The less expensive cross-linked to 7.7 and 8.25 bonuses. That is in comparison to the base one, which is just 7.5 and 7. So it's not a major difference between the versions, but even just a couple of percent, that couple of percent damage plus the couple of percent for the rate of fire combined with the faction ammo all definitely made a difference in allowing me to be able to take out that final guy. I mean, even with those bonuses, it was still a very, very difficult battle, and I was just barely able to defeat him. Well, this has me a little curious. No matter what you see, I must ask you to stay calm and do not fire. There are several large ships here from the different factions, a Raven, a Tempest, an Armageddon, and a Dominix, so all four factions represented. All Tier 1 or Tier 2 battleships. Very curious what's going to happen that would make me want to fire. You can see when I had my passive modules shown, I still don't have my shield extenders in order to fit those heavy missile launchers, so my ship is definitely lacking in tank. Was able to enable those high resists when I wanted them, but only a 1700 shield. It would not take a long time for many ships to burn through that. I saw a flash of light, but I'm not quite sure what that was, and then it was gone, and apparently I'm done. So she said to return to my commander. I'm guessing this guy, I think, was my commander. I'm really curious to see exactly how large the faction standing bonus is going to be. I'm really hoping it does allow me to bypass level 1 missions and go straight into level 2 missions. In fact, I can check my current standing with the Caldari. By going into the standing section of any corp or faction in this case, you can see they're standing towards you. So right now the Caldari state has a standing towards me of 0.72. So I don't think I'm actually going to be able to get all the way to a faction standing of 2, which I think would be necessary to go straight to level 2 agents. But I guess that's the end of that mission and the end of the Sisters of Eve storyline arc. Oh, let me go ahead and do that same search I just did again. We'll see if my standing has changed. So it did really greatly increase my standing all the way from 0.72 to 1.4. So I'm still going to have to run some level 1s, but not a whole lot to get my... oh, actually, I may have to anyways, because my understanding is that instead of using my standing with an individual corporation, I can use my faction standing in place of that, just because it's so much harder to raise faction standing. But it's a one or the other sort of things. Because this didn't reach 2, I'm just going to have to start from scratch with the Caldari Navy, which isn't too big of a deal. And we can also confirm that by going again into our peoples and places and into the agent finder. I've already got it set to Caldari Navy security. I'm going to change the region to any high sec, and we change that to 2. And we are able to go straight to level 2. Not to level 3 though, but it looks like I do have level 2 agents from Caldari Navy available to me. That's handy. Also, we can look at my epic journal, the blood-stained stars epic arc shows all of the missions I had to complete in order to get here. It was quite a few. And we see my wallet looking a little better with that million ISK bonus that I was just able to get. Helped with that faction ammo I had to buy and the other new modules, although those will remain useful to me, so I'm not too worried about those. So I have actually already chosen a new home that has a level 1, 2, and 3 Caldari Navy agent in it and moved most of my stuff there, my old ships, my hauler, um, in Oichia. So I'm going to go ahead and fly there to where I'm going to be basing myself out of, hopefully doing a few different things, spending some time maybe doing some exploration sites and finding complexes and that sort of thing, in addition to running missions and maybe playing around with some industry. Just that is something I've done in the past, and although this character really doesn't have the skills for it, maybe I'll find some trading to do or something just to use this character for as many different things as possible. But we'll see next video what I do in the short term, and I hope to see you then.